What's up, everybody? So coming to you today with another What's Next, and this is going to be on Joseph Parker, the former heavyweight champion of the world. Parker just fought on February 27th when he main evented a DAZN card from New Zealand and defeated previously undefeated and New Zealand rival Junior Fa in a long-awaited showdown that they had out there in New Zealand. Parker pretty much just kind of a workmanlike, outboxed, outclassed Fa over 12 rounds. Fa had his moments, but Parker was just a better man. 12-round decision, and after a year layoff, so nice win for him as he moves forward. So the big question now is, what's next for Joseph Parker? Now, before we get into that, guys, if you like my stuff, thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't like it. I'm okay with that. Leave a comment, positive or negative. I appreciate all of it. I really do. I'm willing to chop it up with you guys. And also, if you really like the channel, subscribe to my channel because I pump out a lot of content for everybody. So, yeah. So let's get into Joseph Parker and what's going on next for him. So we'll run through the top 10, but the recent news right now is that it's very likely that he's going to fight Derek Chisora, the former world title challenger, in his next fight. These guys almost fought a couple years back. A mystery spider bite held that fight up, canceled it to Joseph Parker. But I guess Chisora called Parker in a recent live video call or something, and they both agreed that they would fight, that they wanted to fight each other. So Eddie Hearn has come out and said that he's trying to get this fight for a May 1st pay-per-view overseas, but it would be on DAZN for us here in the United States. And that's a good fight for Parker, ahead of what possibly could be like a title fight later in the year, possibly against Alexander Yusick, which would be big. So, especially since Yusick just got by Chisora, kind of struggled him a little bit, but got a clean decision, it'd be nice for Parker to come out and get a win over him. So, that's a good option. But let's run through the top 10 and see what else could be out there, whether it be after Chisora or even instead of Chisora for Joseph Parker following the win over Junior Fa. We'll start with number 1 in the division, and that's the undefeated Tyson Fury. From all intents and purposes, what I'm hearing is Fury and Joshua have their fight pretty much down, and it's going to be officially announced very soon. So Fury and Joshua look like they're going to fight twice this year. So I don't see Parker. I don't think he's really an option either way, but for Fury, but definitely not going to happen anytime soon. So no, not Tyson Fury. Number 2, a rematch with unified champ Anthony Joshua. Joshua, Joseph Parker's the only other guy. First off, it's not going to happen because Joshua looks like he's going to have back-to-back fights with Tyson Fury this year. Second reason why I don't think it would happen, even if he didn't, was Joshua, this is the only guy that Joshua actually kind of had trouble with and couldn't knock out besides Andy Ruiz. Parker took Joshua the distance in 2018 when they unified belts, and Joshua got the win, but he wasn't impressive. He didn't knock Parker out, so I don't think Joshua was going to want to go through that unless Parker were to really, really cement himself. Plus, like I said, he's got back-to-back fights with Tyson Fury, so I don't see it. Number 3, the undefeated former WBC champion Deontay Wilder. Wilder, I just think, has other better options for him to come back against and knock out prior to hopefully landing the winner of Fury and Joshua. So I don't see those two locking horns. Number 4, a rematch with Andy Ruiz. Now, Joseph Parker is the first of only 2 men to beat Andy Ruiz, and he's the only guy on Andy Ruiz's record that Andy Ruiz didn't beat. Andy Ruiz has a win over Anthony Joshua, even though Joshua came back and beat him. Andy Ruiz didn't beat Joseph Parker when they fought. Now, some people think Andy Ruiz beat him, even though, and the fight did take place in New Zealand and Parker's home country, but all that being said, Parker walked away the winner and won the WBO title that night. Very razor-thin close decision, but this fight's not going to happen next. I don't know if Andy Ruiz even wants to fight Joseph Parker. and because of the style clash. But also Andy Ruiz got Chris Arreola next, probably pushing towards somebody more with the PBC later on in the year to get in title contention. And I just don't think, why go back to that well against the guy who can box and it's tough to knock out like Joseph Parker. I don't see it. Unless Andy Ruiz is just hell-bent on revenge, and he said nothing about that, at least now or anytime recent. So unless he dominates Chris Arreola and then maybe wants to fight Parker later in the year, that's the only way I see that rematch going down. Number 5 is Alexander Povetkin. Yeah, Povetkin, if he knocks out or beats Dillian Whyte in a rematch, then Povetkin's probably going to fight like somebody big like Deontay Wilder or Andy Ruiz, somebody on that kind of level. So why waste your time with Joseph Parker again when stylistically, and he's tough to knock out, and stylistically he's a good boxer. So I don't see Povetkin being interested in this fight. Even though it's an easy fight to make with DAZN, I still don't see it unless neither guy had any other choice, and I think Povetkin's going to have a lot of choices. Now, Povetkin loses, but he doesn't lose by a lot, and he wants to get back in the mix, at 41, 42, and takes on Parker later in the year, maybe, but I still don't see it happening. Number 6 is Alexander Yusick. I think this fight's very possible, because I think Yusick is going to fight Joe Joyce for the vacant title. I think he's going to beat Joe Joyce, and if he does, then you got this guy right here, Joseph Parker, could very well be the top contender for the WBO title, because I think the winner of Yusick and Joyce is going to be the new interim champion. And the WBO has already come out and said that they're allowing the undisputed title fight to go on between Fury and Joshua. But if the winner does not fight the winner of Yusick and Joyce, then they're going to be stripped of the belt. Then it looks like Fury and Joshua are going to fight in a rematch against each other after the first fight. And if that happens, then Usyck's going to be upgraded to champion, and they'll probably make a mandatory defense, and Joseph Parker could be the guy, later this year, especially if he beats Derek Chisora first. So I think it's very possible Parker fights Alexander Usyk later on this year. I think it's very possible, and it could be for the WBO title. So look for that one. Number 7 is Luis Ortiz. I really think Parker should be open to this fight if he cannot get anything else, because Luis Ortiz him and Parker might be the two most avoided guys in terms of like high end. Ortiz is the most avoided guy. Parker might be second or third most avoided in the heavyweight division. Even though he's got a good resume, not a lot of guys are signing up to fight him because he is a tough matchup. So I think Luis Ortiz and Joseph Parker would be a good fight. It's a good style clash, and it'd be interesting to see what happens. And I definitely think these two guys should leave the door open for late this year, just in case they don't get the big fights that they want. Number 8 is Dillian Whyte, which would be a rematch. Dillian Whyte beats Alexander Povetkin, in their rematch, and becomes interim champion. I think Dillian Whyte's going to fight Deontay Wilder later this year. I don't see Dillian Whyte giving Joseph Parker another chance. He almost lost to Parker. He barely got by him by a close decision in a fight he almost got knocked out in the last round. I don't see him giving the love to Parker. I don't see it. So, and even if he loses, I would say Povetkin might have to knock him out if he does lose to Povetkin, or it's a razor-thin decision. I don't think he's going to dip back into a guy he already beat like Parker after that. So, win or lose, Dillian Whyte's not going to fight Joseph Parker. I think he was number 8. Number 9 is Parker. And then my two-way tie for 10th, I got Michael Hunter. Hunter looks like he's fighting Filip Hrgovic next in a IBF eliminator, which is interesting. So I don't think if Hunter wins that fight over Hrgovic, which he's probably going to be the underdog, but if he were to win that fight, he probably waits around for the winner of Fury Joshua. I don't think he would fight Parker. So I don't see that one. And then I believe I have Otto Wallin now tied for 10th. That's an interesting matchup if Wallin wants to try to move in for the WBO rankings. But for some reason, I'm not seeing this one. So that's it. It looks like Derek Chisora next. And I really think Alexander Yusick is a great option later in the year for the WBO title. And if you can't get that, go after Luis Ortiz if nobody else does, because Parker needs to really go and beat the best in the other avoided guys and really needs to mandate himself. He might have to mandate himself to get somebody to fight him for a world title, because he is a tough matchup. So I think he needs to keep his options open. I think he needs to go after some of these guys. I would like to see Parker and Yusick, because I think Parker is a great ultimate test to determine if Yusick is going to be a very legit heavyweight and if he can compete with the big guys. So the trees, Fury, Joshua, and Wilder. So we'll see. But that's the what's next on Joseph Parker, the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world. Hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been here with the truth.